Hello and welcome to the Dragon Athletic Effort is Everything podcast. Today we've asked Alfie Reed to come onto the show, all right, or just have a chat. There are a couple of things, right? So Alfie's been a member with us for about 12 months. He's also our in-house resident physiotherapist, okay? So he's been helping a lot of our members with a couple of ailments, etc. So it seems like a really good time just to have a chat, bit about your background, how long you've been doing CrossFit training for, so on and so forth. So, Alfie, CrossFit, yourself, how long's it been?
So yeah, I first started training 2017. We were doing it kind of roughly out of garages and gyms and stuff like that before 2017 for maybe 2 or 3 years. It was part of the training program. CrossFit Style was part of the training program that we used when I worked for the RNLI on the beaches as a lifeguard. So really good sort of general physical fitness. And then
where were you based?
So North Devon,
North Devon.
at the time.
Surfer Central.
Exactly. Yeah. It was mega. Best job. Obviously after physio, and then training actually in a gym a little bit more, sort of with purpose since 2017. Started to get a little bit competitive with it in 2019, 2020, but then obviously that all came to an abrupt halt with the pandemic. But just keep pushing on.
Yeah, and you've got a couple of coaching badges behind you as well within CrossFit Level 1, Level 2. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. You were there, Andy. So
I don't know if I was there on the Level 1. Definitely there on the Level 2.
You were there Level 1 as well.
You were teaching someone squats, if I can remember.
That's it. Yeah. So I've learned from the best.
Just keep it simple. That's what exactly. All right. Well, it's cool. So a good little bit of background, but you've come into it through the competitive route and enjoyed it, because you are super fit. Let's just get that straight. It's like Alfie is mega fit. What kind of sort of stuff has drawn you to do? Is it the functionality of the training? Is it just something that was completely different? Or?
Yeah, I think so. It was mostly, so initially was to do with injury prevention. So I trained a lot of monostructural stuff. So I swam competitively for county level. This was prior to starting CrossFit. Used to race push bikes as well. And it just kind of, you get really fit in those sort of areas, those domains, but there wasn't that spectrum of fitness. So I wanted to kind of explore that a little bit as well. Plus, also, when you cycle a lot, you just get really skinny arms. So aesthetically, it's not the best. It's not the best.
Aerodynamic, mate.
Exactly.
Aerodynamic. Yeah. Then when did did you study physio in Cardiff? Is that right?
Yeah. So that was 2017. That was kind of when we picked up. We started 2015. Yeah. So graduated 2017, and then after graduation, that was when we started training CrossFit a little bit more seriously.
Cool. And so, talk us through, because I'm naive to the fact what training to be a physio is like, in terms of the length of time. But I do know that you have to give time back to the NHS. Is that right?
So that's the current situation. We were fortunate enough when we did it that we didn't. We still had NHS funding for our degree. But I think there was kind of a moral obligation that you would work a few years in the NHS, which I think pretty much the whole of our cohort did. We did our service. Yeah.
Hey, didn't it's a national service as well?
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. So a couple of years. So 3-year degree covering anatomy, physiology, biomechanics, and then into actual pathologies as well. So a lot of it is placement based. I think we do over 1,000 hours, maybe 1,500 hours worth of placement time, which equates to sort of 8 blocks of 4-week placements. And that can be anywhere from sort of community to neurological rehab to MSK, which is the stuff that kind of I've moved into a little bit more.
Yeah, musculoskeletal, yeah.
Yeah, musculoskeletal, yeah. So that's kind of like the aches and pains and more the stuff that we see in the gym environment here. And then, so a couple of years in the NHS. And then moved over again to sort of private practice because I get to spend a bit more time doing this sort of stuff.
What you like, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah. So with, I've never really asked the physio, because every time I've spent any time with the physio, I'm generally on the physio bench. like, what is the theory behind physiotherapy in terms of the stuff that you're taught at university? And what I mean by that is, like, in comparison to, say, like an osteopath, that they'll treat, they treat the spine for, like, the chiropractor's just the spine, and osteopath, there's slightly different philosophies. Is that right? So what is the philosophy of physiotherapy?
So,
as per Cardiff
University. So my interpretation is physiotherapy will cover slightly more bodily systems. So we're looking at the skeletal system, the muscular system, in some instances the lymphatic system, so the hormonal system as well. So nutrition and diet's a big part of it. It's an avenue that I think you have to self-pursue. We don't cover that massively during our degree, but obviously it's so important to performance and longevity. And then obviously the neurological system as well, so a really important element in terms of strength, in terms of sort of injury a lot of the time, can result from sort of muscle patterning or injuries to do with neurological deficits, basically. Chiros and osteopaths, I mean, if it works for you, absolutely great. I have nothing against it. It's just more, it's a different approach. I think it's very much to do with manipulations, manual therapy. They're very heavy on the manual therapy side of things, which has its place, certainly. But I think it was just the avenue that I thought sort of fitted my training style. Because
I guess once you go privately, there's many options for people to obviously go through, etc.
Yeah.
So gone doing the NHS stuff, and that's generally working within a hospital or out in the community, helping people get back to a standard of movement and XYZ. Yeah. Obviously, with your sporting background, more on the performance side that you're tending to sort of focus in on now.
Yeah, definitely.
So with going private side and with working with people in the fitness industry, what are sort of some of the common things that you generally see? Is it more muscular? Is it more joint? Is all of the above?
Yeah, really good question. I think there's a lot that we'll see. It's very broad spectrum. Like you say, when you work in the NHS, you see, I think from memory, you've got that sort of illness to wellness to fitness scale. Mm-hmm. We see sort of the illness trying to push people into the wellness. With the gym environment, a lot of the people are already sat in that wellness, and we're trying to push them into that fitness sort of, I guess you call it, group. So a lot of the time there's sort of one thing that they have to work on, whereas when we look at the people in the NHS, there's multiple things that we have to address. Be, like I said before, be it musculoskeletal, be it neurological, be it they have sort of pathological problems as well that have to be addressed, and medical issues that need medicating, and it's sort of a multi-team approach, whereas we try and employ that quite a lot within the Physio Space sort of dynamic. We try and utilise sort of the injection therapy if we need it, the acupuncture, the sports massage stuff, Pilates principles, the strength and conditioning side, which is kind of my remit, which I kind of use a little bit more often. But yeah, so I mean, multi-joint, see basically everything, Andy. Yeah. Pretty much, to summarise.
Yeah, and then, well, I think it's always interesting, right? Because, like, with physiotherapy, I guess it's always got to be pushed back onto the actual athlete or the client themselves, because you're a problem solver. Fundamentally, someone comes into you with a bit of an issue, and then it's like, this hurts, and it's like, right, well, I've got to find out why it's hurting and what's causing the hurt, or the pain, or what the discomfort. And then I guess what the reason why I'm saying it is because some people are like, oh, Alfie, can I come in and you just give me a rub, and I'll in a professional manner, okay, and then that will all be done. And I know myself, the success of physiotherapy is due to the diligence of that client and that athlete to do the work put in, because that's what you can see movement, So with the common things that you generally starting to see within the gym, then, what is there? we do CrossFit, all right? So without talking about shoulders, all right, we wouldn't be giving it CrossFit justice, all right? So, I mean, like in terms of, I like to think that our track record in the gym is pretty good because we don't force people. Let's say force is that we program cleverly, so we're not actually trying to mash up someone's shoulders, okay? And from my experience, having done both, but is it more? What are the common things that you are seeing? Is it more knees? Is it more shoulders?
Yeah, so I think you're spot on there. Really, we do see a lot of shoulder injuries within CrossFit. It's a lot of sort of high intensity overhead, push pull. The kipping motion is pushing you into hyperextension of the shoulder. Sometimes if people don't lack that end range strength or stability, or they have underlying inflammation in the shoulder, it can cause issues. So yeah, definitely spent a lot of time working with shoulders. I mean, we were very fortunate enough to work with Tim through the dynamic shoulder workshop. Obviously yourself was there and the rest of the team, which kind of just shed light on the prevalence of shoulder injuries within CrossFit.
Well, I think it's more to do, I mean, like, just to sort of, put a caveat on that one, is that people's shoulders aren't ready for some of the work. So it's actually, there's dysfunction there in the first place. And then depending on the training, depending on the individual, it's almost just like trying to, put something on an unstable surface, basically. So again, it's those corrective mechanisms. So with that, I mean, what sort of stuff do you use and you think are very beneficial for, whether it's, post-workout, pre-workout, whether it's just somewhat, simple exercises people can do, sort of like day in, day out, what sort of some of the simple ones that you sort of prescribe?
Yeah, that's again a really good question. I think it's not the right situation to just prescribe things for everyone. Obviously, everyone works on an individual basis. I think one thing that we all definitely neglect is mobility side of things.
Yeah.
And I think with mobility, or an increase in mobility, we definitely get less injuries as a result of that. So it's just exploring those sort of end ranges of motion, making sure that we're fully warmed up and spending that time cooling down pre and post workout as well. I think a lot of the time people will just come in 2 minutes before the class, jump on the dance floor and boogie, won't they? So it's a little bit difficult sometimes to, I mean, like you say, the programming's good. It's very sort of structured, specific to the movement patterns that we're going to be doing. So people do have that opportunity in the class. But a lot of the time, there's a lot of things that they need to work on individually just to explore their own sort of limitations. But I would definitely suggest that people spend a little bit more time on sort of the mobility side of the shoulders. And
stretching 2 minutes out there, 2 to 5 minutes at the end of the class isn't necessarily
going to
cut it. No. I mean, I think it is a very much of it's not a buzzword. It's one of the things which I've sort of realised over time, specifically as I'm starting to age out. I say age out, I still like to think I'm still young. However, but noticing range of motion dissipating first. So, for example, front rack position. Prior to COVID or the pandemic, I had the ability to actually hold a barbell on my front rack. However, during the pandemic, the first part, I decided to do some bodybuilding training. And I don't know, I genuinely believe, because of all the tempo training I did on lat pull downs, whether it's tightened up on the one side, And so, like, obviously I've been seeing you for some treatment in and around the shoulder, etc. It's just interesting in terms of I can see it, but I'm not necessarily doing the work to make it any better because I'm chomping at the bit to get that intensity fix, And so, what would your recommendation be for someone such as myself who wants to put the work in for the rehabilitation plus training? Is that shall I just be like, oh, look, Andy, take 2 or 3 sessions off a month? Or does that make sense? Do you ever do you work that out?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately the goal for everyone, well, I'm assuming here, but ultimately the goal for a lot of people here would be that they can still train at some level of intensity. And sometimes you just have to take a bit of humble pie and deload a little bit in those situations. I mean, your body will tell you whether you enjoy those positions or not. And if you don't enjoy them, then I would not suggest that you push yourself into those, especially under load and intensity. So sometimes, it is a case of just reining it in for a week or two, let that inflammation settle, develop that range of motion, develop the patterning, develop the specific strength if it needs to happen, and then start to increase intensity into what you're training again. Obviously, it's very individualized. Again, some people just need... That's when manual therapy has its place in terms of sports massage and manipulations, because you can find those sort of marginal gains that allow you to train pain-free again. Sometimes it's not... There's never really a situation where you don't click things back into place. If that's the case, then you need to be in the emergency room. That's not how we work. But certainly you can find sort of a decrease in pain or sensitivity to certain positions with a little bit of manual therapy as well. So that's something that we, like I said earlier, we do try and have its time and its place.
I've been recommended that manual therapy by Alfie is incredibly good. Strong hands, that's what you want. Strong, strapping individual, 6'4", pushing all that weight down. You've got the clinic here at Dragon, and you also have a role, a pretty cool one, involved within motor racing as well. Is that right?
Yeah, so very fortunate. This is through the help of Matt Parry, one of the members here as well. So he manages a few drivers within Formula 3 and also within the World Endurance Championship. So that's sort of Le Mans style racing. He got me a gig supporting some of the drivers, doing some physio work for them, so helping with their training, helping with their pre and post race routine, nutrition and hydration, and then logistics side of things as well for them. I've been
what sort of issues do the drivers have then? Is it like repetitive strain kind of issues?
Good question. Yeah, so it just depends on, a lot of the drivers, I've only worked with a couple of them so far. There's a big spectrum between sort of the fitness and how they approach their driving, and also based on what sort of style of driving they do. So within Formula 3, they're sort of 300 kilometre an hour cars in excess of. So they're experiencing quite a lot of G-forces through the neck and shoulders. So it tends to get really sort of stiff around the neck. Mobility, obviously, they're working really hard. They're racing somewhere between 40 minutes and an hour and 15. So it's quite a lot of effort for them. It's also very exhausting, having to sort of be that focused and physically push these cars around with these forces as well. So spend a lot of time sort of neck and shoulders, back as well, because the seats they're formed to the body, they're shaped to the body, but they're not the most comfortable. They're not like you'd have in your S-Class Mercedes.
And plus,
or
I guess they feel every bump as well, even though it's got high-end suspension.
It's all carbon fibre, these cars, and very low to the floor, so they haven't got much tolerance in terms of suspension. So it's basically just getting them back to where they are. So
and I guess they don't have a lot of muscle mass on them either.
No, they're all skin and bone. Yeah, so you've got some drivers that are similar height to myself, and they're in about 70 kilos.
Oh, wow.
So they're significantly lighter. And I'm not the biggest person myself, but
you carry a significant amount more. Do you think? Just from your small experience, and it's just a question. Do you think it would pay a little bit more dividend? It's difficult because Lewis Hamilton looks like a small guy, but he doesn't look necessarily skinny. And then Max van Stappen. I don't know if you've not seen Max van Stappen's training routine. Please go on Instagram and have a look. Yeah, but it's as soon as you're saying neck and everything, I'm thinking, maybe get some solid traps on the go. The
some shrugs,
to get them some of the shrugs. But I can understand why that might not be the case. But do they have a good training culture for that, or is it more like, look, I'm a driver. I just want to go out on a drive. I want to train my driving, my reaction skill. Or do some of the guys that you've worked with? I like to thrash it out a little bit. Yeah.
So again, it's a massive spectrum. The driver I've been working with most, a lad called Oliver. He's really proactive with his training. He's doing really well. He trains sort of every single day. He'll be doing some sort of strength or some endurance training. And then he's really focused on his mobility, really on it with his diet and nutrition. But then some of the other drivers, so in the World Endurance Championships, there's 3 drivers per car. Some of the other drivers that I've seen working with some of the other teams just smoke, drink, eat
Well, I
what
was
they
going to
want.
say like the Steve McQueen kind
Yeah,
of,
exactly.
like, you know,
As long as they get the
Dart.
task done, they're not bothered. And I mean, yeah, they'll probably find some performance benefits from looking after themselves a bit, but still they race well. So it's just that natural talent.
Yeah. And have you had the opportunity to get in one of the cars yet?
No, definitely not. They won't let you do that. No, these cars are
too tall as well, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't fit in.
Like this one.
No.
All right, well, that's cool. So awesome. You know, things are going from, you know, strength to strength for you. You've got a charity. Is it right to call a challenge or an event?
Yeah, so this was something that's been on the bucket list for myself for a long time. So
you can tell the full story, because I think it'd be interesting for people
definitely.
to understand.
So 2011, started doing a lot of running, lost a significant amount of weight, and so had some blood tests as well, but turned out that I actually had leukemia. So
how old were you then?
I was 17.
17.
I think it was just after my 17th birthday, so a really nice present.
Yeah.
So
most kids get, like, what's that, glandular fever from snogging? And,
yeah, exactly.
You got hammered or something a little bit.
I get a few rounds of chemotherapy instead. So, but you know what? I was really fortunate. I sailed through it, like, mostly unscathed. Managed to keep my fitness. Managed to still be quite competitive with that. And this is just an opportunity for myself and my friend now, who's going to come along for the ride as well. So we're doing Land's End to John O'Groats, which is just over 1,000 miles. We're doing it in 9 days. It's about 170 kilometers a day.
Is that close to like a world record? Because the thing is, I mean, it's obviously a very famous route, but you guys are really trying to cram it in, aren't you?
Yeah, so 9 days. So most people, if they're really shifting, will do it in a week. Most people will do it in 2 weeks, so we're kind of in that middle ground. I think the record is somewhere around 45 hours, and that's non-stop. 45 hours, yeah, that's right. So
wow.
I think it was set by a teacher. I can't remember the guy's name.
Wow, so that's non-stop, basically.
He just, sat down and pedalled, basically.
But that's not pedaling slowly either, is it?
No, it's something like 36 kilometers an hour, I think, was an average, which is really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put that into equivalent for the guys on the gym to understand. What's the sort of wattage? Like,
let me think.
Pace?
So you would probably be holding somewhere about 320 watts.
Oh, wow. So the challenge for some people is to come in and just see how long they can hold 300 watts on a C2 bike for, to give some form of
for 46 hours or whatever it is.
Maybe not for 46 hours, because I think 300 watts is pretty honking. I mean, that's mega.
Yeah,
so coming back to, you're going to try and do it in 9 days?
So we're doing it in 9 days, so it's nowhere near a record. But yeah, it's still going to be really tough. We've got about 5,000 foot of elevation per day over the first 2 or 3 days. So Devon and Cornwall is
there a particular route?
I planned the route, and we'll post that.
So there's not like a one which everyone takes and changes?
No, so you can do it as you want, really. So obviously avoiding Dartmoor and Exmoor, because that's more elevation. But I'm going to post the routes as well, so if people want to, you can follow the page, Banana Health Club. Will be all on there, so as you can see from the T-shirts. So this is just like sort of a medium for us to advertise what we're doing and showcase what we're doing. And then there's also a Just Giving page that's linked on the website as well, so through the Instagram. But 9 days, over 1,000 miles. There's a lot of cycling. Yeah,
I think you were telling me you're looking forward to the calorie consumption.
Yeah, definitely. So we've got about 200 flapjacks. Yeah. So they'll probably be gone within the first 2 days. Tons of bananas, tons of gels. Really lucky. Jamie and Elliot kindly donated a few bits and bobs to us as well. So we're well fueled up. But it's still going to be a tough challenge, but really looking forward to it, and just praying that it doesn't rain. That's the main thing, because that would be miserable.
It is going the span of the UK, and you are going through Scotland, and I think Scotland's only second to Wales on rainfall. But I mean, have you for those of us who are a little bit naive to it? I mean, how many hours per day is that on the bike for you now?
So we're aiming to do 25 kilometers an hour average. So it should be somewhere with rest stop, somewhere between 8 and 9 hours a day. Yeah. I did forget to mention just then, so we are fundraising for Yong Lives versus Cancer, which was formerly known as Click Sergeant, which was the charity which supported me and my family during my treatment. So we're trying to give back a little bit for them. So,
and what is the support that they offer? Is it counselling?
Yeah, so they pay for basically district nurses to go around to the families or the children's houses. So they basically support anyone below the age of 18. Obviously, I was just in that threshold, but I was lucky enough to stay with them through the whole of my journey. So they'll come and do your blood tests. You have to have regular blood tests. The first month you have to, because I was in the southwest, you have to stay in Bristol Hospital, so you have an intense course of chemotherapy, and they have a house up there, so you can stay there. And it's just, they basically just take all the stresses and worries away financially and logistically, just make it as easy, as smooth as possible, and it's all through charity as well. So honestly, one of the best charities.
Awesome.
Well, they've basically saved my life, so I owe them everything basically.
Yeah. And obviously, it's been a good grounding for you as an individual, the sort of springboard. Because I would say you're a pretty happy-go-lucky kind of guy, and I like that. There's always a smile on your face, and obviously staring adversity, face on, can sort of do that too. So I think that, what the cause, everything, and the fact that you're willing to put your body through that, is testament to you as an individual. With the what's the support crew that you've got going? Do you have one? Is it just the two of you in a backpack? Or?
Yeah, so I'm really lucky actually. The old man's coming. He's got a camper van, so he's just going to come along with the camper van and carry the flapjacks for us and the spare tyres if we need anything like that. So we've planned the route, the stops along the way, so we'll probably meet him sort of every 30 to 40 kilometres if we need anything. Yeah. Obviously, I would like to do it unsupported at some point, but I think just for the first time, I think it's too risky.
Well, yeah,
So
that's pretty jumping in at the deep end there. Do you think you and your, what was your friend's name again?
Luke.
Do you reckon you and Luke maybe after a couple of days go, God, I think we might be able to do this a bit quicker? What do you reckon?
I'm not going to say anything now, Andy.
Can't make any promises.
I'd hope we're feeling that strong, but it's probably just going to be holding on, I think, for the last 3 or 4 days. But I mean, we're going to see some things. You get to see the whole country in a different perspective, I guess, from the saddle.
I'm going to ask a crude question because that's my type of character. What are you going to do if you need a shit? How does that pan out? Let's say you're on a country road. Is it just literally in the corner, kecks down, spare sock? How does that work?
Yeah, I think so. Otherwise, it's find a Weatherspoons or a Greggs, isn't it? Yeah. I don't know. I think it's going to be something along those lines. I think we're just going to have to make do with how it is,
Less fibre.
Take it back to nature.
Yeah, that's like that, It's all, no one ever asks those questions,
No, it hasn't even been a thought in my mind, to be honest, Andy. So.
No, well, it's a bit like, when Ross Edgley swam around the, what's he going to do when he, I don't know if he was asked on a podcast, dude. When you're in the water, how do you take a shit? Yeah. I mean, everyone knows a pee. When you need to get warm, you get wee in the wetsuit. But is there just
don't shit in your wetsuit? Yeah.
But the thing is, the fish will chase you then, won't they? do you know what I mean? All right. So remind us of the dates again.
So we're starting next Tuesday. So I think that's the 10th.
The 10th of May.
So that's going to be day 1. So Land's End to Oakhampton's the first day.
Yeah.
And then day 2 is Oakhampton to Bath. So we'll be coming past this way, and day 3 is Bath to Ludlow, and then from there, just keep going north.
Keep going north. And then, so where can people find all the information about that again?
So the Instagram page, Banana Health Club. Yep. There's links on my bio as well, so Alfie Reed, or you can have a look through Luke Watson's profile as well. Yeah. It'll be on there. I did share a link on the Dragon members page as well.
We'll refresh that one. I'll put it on with the videos and stuff as well.
Yeah, but any donations would be massively appreciated. I think we're trying to get to £1,000 at the moment. I know it's not tons and tons, but it still make a difference.
Yeah, definitely
to these kids' lives. So,
and then at the gym, give you a tinkle or just pick up the card.
Absolutely, yeah. My cards are out on the front desks as well, and I'm around all the time. Or if you need any more information, Ellie, my partner's around as well. So just ask her. Yeah, she can give you a heads up as to where I'm going to be.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Alfie. All right. Thank you very much for coming in, giving it. I was a bit short notice from my end, but thank you very much for reacting. And just in terms of any advice, if you want to work out, all right, don't go and stand next to Alfie because he will generally beat you all.
Or sweat on you.
Sweat on you, yeah. You do like to get your top off.
Yeah.
I don't blame you, though. You got a good rig. So, yeah. All right, nice one, dude. Thank
Cheers,
you very
Andy.
much.
Thanks
Cheers,
so
dude.
much.